Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about Fantastic Four. So, we finally, this has been a thing that we've been hearing about for, quite a long time now, and that I've been kind of looking forward to. A lot of folks really, of course, down on the idea of Fox still having the rights to this, much less who's making it, who's in it, all that kind of stuff. And I really wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt, all this time, even over the last couple of days, seeing negative reviews of it and stuff. And finally, it's here, and we got to see it, and I was really looking forward to it. And it's going to be interesting talking about it. So Vince, give us just a really brief synopsis of Fantastic Four. I feel like that should be pretty easy.
Well, a group of mechanical and electrical and apparently patterns and quantum scientists.
See, I thought you were going to go engineers after all that. That works for everything but patterns.
Yeah, that's why I said scientist.
A patterns engineer.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And so all these scientists get together trying to create a interdimensional travel or, in general, teleportation device. And so these scientists and friend come together to make together to make a device that functions, but they make bad decisions and they end up getting powers as a result. So,
yep,
that's in a nutshell kind of what it is. That's not entirely different than the normal Fantastic Four stories.
Yeah, and it's not all that different, really, as far as just the bare bones of the origin than the film we got, a decade ago, except for what it is that leads them in the first place. Because this time it's like it's a bad choice, and they're kind of having to pay for it with this curse of these powers. Played up a lot more of a curse I think for all of them this time than it has been before. And but it has a similar thing in that it is pretty much just origin, right? It's not really the origin happens and then we tell a story. It's the whole movie is they get powers and then what happens. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Vince. Well, why don't you tell us how you felt about this brand new version of Fantastic Four?
This movie makes me feel like my friend broke my toys on accident while playing in a sandbox.
Yep. That one, actually, even though it's still kind of a metaphor, I mean, it's not kind of, it clearly isn't. That's a metaphor. Actually, it's more of a simile, really, because it's like. But that's a little more straightforward than some of your other metaphorical boards, Vince. I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about there. Go ahead.
Because I don't feel like there was nothing to be entertained by in this movie. But I don't feel like there was a heck of a lot. Because you get to a certain point in this movie, and then your friend breaks your toys. And then it derails after that. But, just like playing in a sandbox with your friends when you're a kid, I mean, it's not like it had a lot of substance to begin with. You were just having fun.
That's a good point, yeah.
And I would say
but I guess the question I would have is, were you having fun?
I would say I was legitimately enjoying myself for probably about the first 45 minutes of the movie. I will not say that I was sitting there thinking, this is great, but I will say that I was sitting there going, this is all right. I mean, I feel like maybe it's going somewhere. We'll see where it goes. I'll give them some more time, and I'm like, it's origin, okay, I know, let's have some fun. And then it gets to a point where I feel like they started forgetting the rules of their universe, and they started forgetting that characters need to make choices based on their character, and rather than what somebody said, well, this seems like a good chance to make everybody really angry at this guy.
Yeah.
So they have, and I guess that's one of the problems that I've always had with Fantastic Four Origins, is that they give so much screen time to the I hate you, Reed, I'm sorry, Ben relationship. And in this one, it was kind of like Reed made these out-of-character choices that gave credence to those feelings for everybody.
Yeah.
And I kind of understood why everybody hated Reed. I didn't understand why Reed made his choices.
But then at the same time, I'm not sure that I understood those people in the first place either all that well. I mean, I don't know that everyone else was was better characterized or more thickly characterized than he was.
Yeah, I think this is a good place to have actual discussion. So let's flip your sign.
Well, you got to do your.
Oh, right.
Vince doesn't do this show all that often. Before you do that, okay, you've done it. And
no, I didn't know it.
Oh, you didn't do it. Okay, I thought you did. Before you do that, real quick, this might be a good time to ask the question: is part of the problem here that Fantastic Four is just a really difficult thing to bring to screen? Is that what it is, or does it just feel that way because we've been burned 3 times now? I'm not counting Rise of the Silver Surfer because that's part of the same burn.
It sure feels like that, but I think that people are afraid to bring Fantastic Four to the screen in the way that Fantastic Four originated. And I do think there's a reason for that. There are certain things in the Fantastic Four origin that don't quite make sense today. Why was Johnny Storm part of the original team? I mean, you go back, Sue was just the girlfriend and Johnny Storm was the friend, or the little brother of the girlfriend. Why do they even need to come along? I guess he's trying to impress a girl. And then you fast forward and they've started trying to... They've pushed Sue into this box, and then I go, okay, now we have more of a reason to have these people here. And then we get to this movie, and they're trying to shove people into this box some more. I'm like, okay, we're getting closer. So I see this movie, and I think people are starting to realize that there needs to be a reason for people to be involved in this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that there were some attempts at making some things make a little bit more logical sense than they have before.
At least within the first 30 minutes.
There's all kinds of logical fallacies that the characters themselves are making, so that's not helping or anything. But but I guess my question just broadly, Vince, is, I mean, can a more modern interpretation be done of Fantastic Four where we would take it more seriously in this day and age, with the powers being as hokey as they are to people? You know, some people just feel like, you know, those 4 people, the powers. I don't really understand that. I feel like you know, they're not any weirder than the X-Men's powers. You put 6 or 7 of those guys together, and I think, you know, you get to the problem of, well, they all get them at exactly the same time. Why are they different? You know, why do they get different powers from going to the same place? I feel like that was maybe handled slightly better here than I've seen it before. It at least wasn't we all got hit by one wave, but it was kind of we all, you know, stuck our fingers in this one thing, I guess, but
I liked that scene to a certain extent.
Yeah, me too.
But it was shot so fast that, and they showed certain things happening. I'm like, you know, I guess it would make sense if what's happening in my mind is actually what I saw. Yeah. But I feel like what's happening in my mind is like half of what they wanted me to believe.
I think it was supposed to look almost kind of horror-inspired, like look how traumatic this is, look how awful it is.
Which that was effective.
And I thought that was effective also. I just wish that I cared more about those characters. Okay, flip your sign real quick.
I really want to, but I don't. I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it.
It's unfortunate. I also want to say, of course, that, you know, if you can make me, and it's not a perfect movie, but if you can make me buy Ant-Man on screen, I feel like the Fantastic Four is kind of a no-brainer.
Yes! You thought I was going to break your sign, didn't you?
No. Honestly, it would have been warranted this time. Like, if that was the one time that somebody slammed that sign and it totally broke, I think this would be the right time for that. Don't do it, though. Don't do it on purpose. I would not... Vince, I'm kind of sad, buddy. I'm a little disappointed. I'm more than a little disappointed. And everybody in the comments, or a lot of people in the comments, are probably right now saying, "Well, we told you so. We told you so." But the thing is, Ben, it just never.
That's so appropriate.
It never gets. I know. We can't not do it this time. But the problem. See, there's not a. It's not even like the question. The problem is.
That's my superhero name. I'm the problem.
I'm the problem.
My sidekick's the conundrum.
The problem, I think, is that what were we even talking about? Is that I know. Sorry, is that a lot of people, of course, really didn't like this project was happening, and I thought were kind of jumping the gun and hating it before they had a reason to.
And they go to the movie expecting to and looking for reasons to hate it.
Yeah, and I wasn't looking for I really wanted to like it, and I can't say that I wasn't affected at all by early reviews. I didn't want to see them. We made the mistake of making a video the other day of doing an excerpt from the radio show about the notion of eventually having a Fantastic Four X-Men crossover movie before we'd even seen this movie, and because I looked at comments from that video, it was really hard not to hear things about early reviews. So, you know, it's really hard for me not to get away from hearing things has like 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, and people are saying that it's really, really mediocre, run-of-the-mill, obvious superhero fare, and there's just not anything to it, and all that stuff. And so yes, I was thinking all those things and hoping that I just didn't agree with them, but I got there, and a lot of that I did end up sort of agreeing with. I don't think it's I don't think it was warranted that folks were so down on it before they saw it. But now that I've seen it, it's
warranted to be down on it, but not prejudiced against
man,
it, you know?
I like Vince. There's just nothing there.
There is nothing there.
So here's what I said, Vince. And I really mean this. This movie made me feel like asking Vince to punch me in the face and make sure I was still alive. That's how I felt about it. And I thought that halfway through, about the point that you decided that you weren't having fun anymore. I don't care about anyone involved. They don't feel like real people to me. This is... Somebody called this the Green Lantern of 2015. Yeah, I can't disagree with that, because I had a lot of the same problems with this that I did with that. This feels like the Fantastic Four movie somebody would have tried to make 10, 15 years ago, which is weird because they did, and it's a different... And I'm gonna say this. The other two Fantastic Four movies, not the one that wasn't released, but the Tim Story ones. I don't remember if he did the second one, but whatever. But the FF and Rise of the Silver Surfer. I have said all kinds of negative things about those. There's all kinds of things I don't like about them. I have a lot of issues with character stuff, a lot of unsympathetic things. Tons and tons of stuff that I don't like. Galactus is a giant cloud. Tons of things. Both of them 3 times more watchable than this movie.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm saying that's really sad. This has different problems. It's just dull. It's really boring. I hate to say that. The first 40 minutes don't need to be there, and
that was the good part.
Yeah, but that sucks because the story starts before the story starts. How much do we really get to know those characters beyond just like really easy throwaway superficial things where we and this girl is into pattern, is able to see patterns, and she's kind of like unemotional and kind of a rock, which is funny because she's not the rock creature. But nothing's really done with that. I mean, we don't have any cool stuff with like the powers that are reflecting personality traits and things like that. You don't have to have that. I'm just saying there's like nothing interesting done with these ideas. There's some things here and there that are kind of thrown in. I tell you what I like. I like the idea that the FF get their powers because they're irresponsible, and then they kind of learn how to be responsible. I mean, it might end up being too much like a Spider-Man thing, but the difference, of course, is that Spider-Man didn't get his powers because he was irresponsible necessarily. I guess there's, an Amazing Spider-Man kind of, because he didn't need to walk in that room, but that was trying to discover his origins, so I can kind of appreciate that to a degree. I'm running off with myself. Anyway, but you see what I'm saying? I kind of like that idea. I don't feel like we really do anything with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem all the way through. I feel like nobody was really excited to make this movie. And I think at one time they were, and it just feels like a movie that nobody was sure about. It feels kind of timid to me. It feels really by the numbers and safe, and that's weird because it's just, like I said, it's just kind of dull. It's dull as a rock. Why isn't the Thing wearing pants? I didn't think that would bother me, but I'm not sure why he's not wearing pants, because
he still has eyes. You're telling me he doesn't have a dork?
But I hate to say I wasn't gonna go quite that crude with it, but I was.
I tried to clean it up.
I'm surprised that I'm even going, bringing this up and going this far, but it made it difficult for me not to think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? I was like, how does his body even function? I mean, I just started wondering about biological stuff. How exactly does it work? Vince, I'm sorry. I was about to move on to another topic. Go ahead.
In my head, it makes sense that there's a plot point later in the movie where everybody's like, there's a question about survival in that terrain. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Thing seems to have no ability to evacuate waste from his system means that he probably doesn't eat,
Yeah.
Therefore,
well, maybe he doesn't have to.
He probably is just sustained by this power in his body.
The thing is, of course, in regular FF lore, and this is a thing that I thought that they got pretty right in the original movie. Although the whole thing with his wife, I thought was really silly and too easy. But I mean, like, but I felt like these characters were drawn about as finally as she was as Thing's wife in the first movie. Like that's where we're at here, I think. I mean, like the Thing is a really tragic character, and you feel for him, and you wish he could revert back to regular human form, and I didn't feel any of that at all. Part of my problem with this movie is that I keep forgetting that certain characters are there, and what's bizarre about it is it's not because we're focusing too much on one over the others. Really? I'm not even sure what it is. It's just I don't feel like characters making choices and my getting their heads is in any way whatsoever moving the story along, and I don't even want to go that far. It's also just not fun. I mean, like we're taking ourselves so seriously, but then we're not doing anything. Like,
I would almost go so far to say that the main character in this movie is the teleportation device. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I don't feel at all for Doctor Doom, and weirdly, I feel like he is almost one of the most sympathetic characters because he doesn't have a lot of contention. But the weird thing about him is that he's super jaded, and I just don't buy it and don't really understand why. And it all seems really petty. And they're kind of high school kids that just started going to college. Well, Doom, I guess, has been there for a while. But I mean, like you could have done a thing where, with the whole petty jealousy thing, where these kids are immature, and this is kind of their coming of age story and their metaphor for puberty or figuring out the world or discovering who they are, that kind of thing. You could do that kind of Spider-Man thing with it, and they just aren't playing with those things, and so I just feel like it's this simple. Dr. Doom hates Reed Richards because he's as smart as he is, and Johnny Storm is jaded because he's living in his father's shadow, or something. I don't even know what's going on there. Really, it's like he has no direction.
His dad has more love for the sciencey stuff than he does for him, I guess.
Okay, I guess that's what it is. So he's jealous of his dad, and
they point towards that, but they never there's nothing that comes out of it. It's, I'm annoyed with you because. And
then after they get their powers, where a lot of their feelings about their powers come from is kind of a dice roll in my mind. Now Johnny really wants to keep his powers, I guess because he had no direction before, that one I guess I can kind of sort of buy, but there's not any dimension to him. I mean, like, it's just this throwaway thing. Vince, the movie is like 90 minutes, and it feels like a slog. It feels a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
I'm so baffled. I'm not to give too much away, but I'm so baffled by the time jump. I mean, like...
Yeah.
Like, once that happened, I found myself just going, I don't know why we needed all that time spent around, they're building the machine and all of that.
Like, you're going to belabor the fact that they were kids trying to build this thing, but you're not going to belabor their, learning to use their own powers?
Yeah.
That's so insane to me.
And again, that's part of why it makes the first movie seem like a better movie, because I've always complained that movie is some people get powers and then they deal with having powers. This movie is some people mess around for a while and play with some technology, and then they get powers, but too late for us to do anything interesting with it or have any fun with it at all.
Why can't this movie do what The Incredible Hulk did? I mean, I'm not saying The Incredible Hulk was a perfect movie. I just don't understand why we can't start doing that with more things. Like, great, I understand that through some means of mystical technology, because, it's not real science, this mystical technology...
Well, pseudoscience. Within the world, it's real science.
Why can't we say that they have created something and then go from there, rather than having to spend the entire movie building something to have an effect?
I mean, it's just the dramatic writing, Vince, isn't good enough to do that. You can make anything work. I've always said that, and I feel like if this was more like, and you know, a lot of people don't like this movie, but if this was a little bit more like Amazing Spider-Man, where the focus was on the interpersonal relationships, you know, and I think it thinks it is, but man, there's some really awkward exchanges. You know, really awkward exchange, bizarre lines of dialogue. Reed and Sue have no chemistry whatsoever, and what's really bizarre is, and obviously I'm bringing what I know about Fantastic Four to this. You get into the end of them, I shouldn't, you know, say too much, I guess, but like, I'm not even sure if they're supposed to like each other at all.
Yeah.
Really? Anyway.
It seems like the fact that they become a team is not because of who they are, but because they were all on this mission together.
Yeah.
They don't really seem to be friends. I mean, they firmly establish at the beginning that Reed Richards and Ben Grimm are friends. They established that pretty hardcore. Not because they have any kind of anything in common. It's just they happen to be friends because one needs parts and the other one works in a junkyard. And works. His family owns a junkyard and he has access. So that's why they're friends.
I mean, these are really just stick figures with one personality trait written on their foreheads, right? And pretty much, right?
It's like, works in a junkyard, has no potential. Like,
yeah, and I mean, like the movie works really hard at the beginning. I mean, if anybody gets more screen time than anybody and is supposed to be the main character over anybody else, because it's kind of an ensemble piece, of course, it is Reed Richards. And I feel like at the beginning of the movie, it's working really hard to try to make us appreciate the fact that nobody understands him and nobody understands what he's able to do. But I don't buy it at all. I mean, it seems like we're kind of dumbing all these people down and creating this weird cartoon world where no one can even get their head around the notion of interdimensional travel. In 2007 and then in 2015, and they firmly tell you what the dates are, so we're not even remotely outside of time here, like making time ambiguous, right? No, this day and age, everybody goes and sees these kinds of movies. We're all familiar with those kinds of concepts by now, you know what I mean? And like, I've seen some people try to defend it a little bit by saying that it's sort of a throwback to older like superhero things and simpler things and early even superhero movies and stuff, but I'm just not quite buying it. I don't know that that's what it wants to be. I don't know that it's trying to be, like a melodrama. I think it thinks it's a real modern drama.
But it's super mellow. Like there's speeches all over the place. The character interaction is basically either exposition or which is weird because we don't even learn the reason why Doom is such a feared guy within this community of scientists and military guys. They're like, he should be locked up.
Yeah,
what did he do?
What exactly is he? Well, I mean,
he's a jerk. Is that why he's supposed to be locked up?
Well, I mean, there's something about him setting fire to something, but that's about it. Like, yeah,
because it doesn't seem like it was on purpose.
Well, and he seems to sort of maybe have something against the system, and he thinks that, like, we're destroying ourselves, and of course that plays into what happens, later on toward the end of the movie, but we don't spend any time with that, so I don't know where exactly that comes from. Again, that kind of thing could be interesting. Of course, the Storm's father, who is kind of, responsible for beginning all this stuff in the first place with the machine, he has this whole notion of we should, go explore this other dimension because it might have resources where we can, keep from destroying ourselves. And again, that's just kind of a, they kind of put a pin in that and then move on. And it's mentioned every now and again, but we're not really, exploring that or doing really any social commentary or anything like that.
It goes nowhere. It's just a reason for him wanting to be there.
Yeah, and he drove me crazy. What's really, one thing I should say is that we have a lot of really, really amazing actors that are completely wasted.
Yeah.
In a couple different ways, by the way. Completely wasted. And, because that's a major plot point, the scene where people are completely wasted. And, there's, now he's got it, there we go.
That's so true!
but like, that guy, is the, I don't have his name in front of me, is the, my favorite character in House of Cards, the guy who owns the barbecue place, and he is a walking science paper in this entire it's
and motivational speaker.
It's hilarious. Yeah, every line of dialogue he has is some sort of a moral platitude or some kind of a it's almost like all of his dialogue came out of a quote book. Like a wise sayings kind of book, and I realize that he's supposed to fill that role, but again, there's nothing to him. We're belaboring this, but I don't know, it just doesn't work. It's uninspired. Like, it's not, just not a lot of creative stuff in it, even in the action and stuff. And I should also mention that some of the special effects work is really shoddy. Yeah. And even some of the directing and editing is weird. Like, there's some bizarre cuts and things like that. I mean, like, it really feels like a movie that was hobbled together and that they were trepidatious about. And I wonder how much, that early fan reaction to hearing certain things affected it, sort of like Ninja Turtles. What else is weird is that we're ending this year, our kind of superhero movie season the same way we did last year's, because I said that Ninja Turtles was the most mediocre, run of the mill, dime a dozen superhero movie I'd seen since Green Lantern, and this tops that.
Yeah, at least I didn't feel like Turtles was taking itself seriously.
Yeah, exactly. I almost want to say I actually enjoyed that movie a little bit more than this, which is bizarre. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but
I'll say this. I like that Johnny Storm has something to do.
What do you mean?
I like that he's not just the kid brother. I like that he seems to he brings something to the table. You look at the Fantastic Four stuff by Story, and he brings something to the table that's already on the table.
But just in the origin, I mean, and I realize that too much of this movie is that, but past that, like I said, I somewhat keep forgetting that he's there.
Yeah.
And his point seems to be the same thing that it is in those movies, which is, no, having superpowers is great. We're not doing anything like as much with that as we were even there, and I still felt like there wasn't, a lot of story there so much as just talking about it.
And I think one of the things that bothers me the most is that Ben Grimm is one of the two guys from the original story that had a reason to be there, and they took his reason away. They took it away. And that just bothers the crap out of me. And I feel like this is a 3-part Saturday morning cartoon from the early 90s.
It felt a little TV movie-ish to me in places, I gotta be honest. And it felt
with profanity in it.
And it also felt sort of like nobody had ever made a Fantastic Four movie. I mean, like, who is this for, right? Like it feels like another one of those, and I'm so sick of talking about these things. I don't know why we're spending this much time on this. We'll wrap up here in a second. And of course, we are going to do a spoiler cast Sunday night on this. I don't know how long that's going to be, but anyway, it's got that thing that so many of these do, where we've just got to kill time for a couple hours, or in this case, not even a couple hours, to establish these characters because an audience is stupid and they can't get caught up, And again, oftentimes even, there is a good story in the origin, but nobody's convinced me yet that you can make a 2-hour movie out of these guys go into space and then they get powers, and like hardly anything after that. It just, nobody's convinced me yet that you can make that movie, and so with this, it really feels like a movie that's made as if nobody's familiar with these people yet, and I don't understand that. We had a franchise. There was a franchise before this, not just one movie, but 2 of them, and we're starting over again. I mean, I realize that last time we had a Spider-Man reboot, we did that, but that was a somewhat significantly different story. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I don't know. I just don't feel like there's a whole lot here to like.
No, there's not.
We should throw out some more likes if we can think of some real quick before we go. I just, again, a couple of ideas here and there that you could have maybe built on. I think all the casting is fine.
Yeah. No, the casting's fine. I thought it was kind of funny that the Invisible Woman used her powers not entirely, the way she levitates, because she does that in the comics, I'm sorry if I'm ruining anything, is not entirely unlike the way Iron Man did in the movies.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
It's not a problem. I just think it's kind of funny.
Do you think, tonally it's too dark, because it really feels, of course, like it's going, no, look, it's serious because we're not joking every 6 seconds, and so you can take it seriously. It's it
leaves a lot of dead air.
Especially when you don't tell a story beyond this particular origin, but I'm just saying this idea that it's more sophisticated. The thing is, again, if there had been a character piece at the heart of this, I kind of liked what it looked like, except for some of the shoddy CG. Like, I was sort of okay with it having a little bit of a darker color palette and because of the idea of taking the track of maybe having these powers is a really horrible, horrible thing, which the other movies, play with that a little bit, but in a more, inside the context of a more fun movie. Make this a horror film. I mean, not really a horror film, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, give it those sensibilities, and I think you could really make me buy that. I I liked the kind of heavy tone of it if there was a story at the heart of it.
There is a Fantastic Four miniseries where they essentially give it that tone, where it's a really horrible thing to have these powers. But you know what they did that actually made sense? The story was not based around the building of the device that gave them their powers. The story was based on the fact that they did the thing that gave them their powers, and it happens while they're being studied. That's the story.
Yeah.
They're being studied. How do they react to being studied?
Well, and I think this tried to draw from some of that material a little bit, and it tried to deal with some of that, but again, we just didn't really get any actual story mileage out of it. I mean, there was some government trying to control everything stuff, and this idea that Johnny Storm is a little naive because but we didn't really do anything with that, because then we just go back to Doom, and then at the end, we're kind of super powerful, so you can't really do anything to us.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm just so upset. I don't know. I'm more upset about this movie than I was about Punisher War Journal. Warzone.
That movie was great. Nobody else has seen it. Just me and you. We saw Punisher War Journal. It was
it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It looked just like Jim Lee drew
it. There was a lot of text on screen, though.
Yeah.
A lot of reading.
It's really more of a book.
Yeah, actually, I think it was entirely a book.
I think it was an ebook. That's why I was confused. It was on screen.
Oh, that's right. We didn't actually go to a theater how long are we going to stretch this out? All
right, goodbye, everybody.
But no, I'm with you. But yeah, I mean, Fantastic Four is the thing that Vince really cares about, and I can tell he's just sort of stirring and having a difficult time even.
That's what got me into comics.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Mark Waid's run on the Fantastic Four meant so much to me that I started reading comics.
I really wanted to trust Trank on this. I was excited that he got the property after Chronicle. I really like Chronicle. Some people don't, but it just didn't come together. And I feel like maybe and who knows? It's it's a tough thing to know. But I mean, I know that he's decided to not do, he was offered one of the Star Wars movies, one of the offshoots, and he didn't take it because allegedly because of all the fan backlash and stuff from this. He doesn't want to do a big high profile project like that again. And it makes me wonder if just the pressure that got to him too much. If he had a small film with Chronicle that happened to be really successful, and sometimes you jump into the deep end and you kind of drown a little bit. And I think maybe he just wasn't ready for that pressure. I'm not saying that you can blame him for everything that went wrong with this. But there's been a lot of talk about a lot of things that got reshot and stuff like that, and it really feels like a movie that has no idea what it is. And
do you think that he might get out of the business? Of course, the business of big budget, sure.
I think he's more likely to just make a lot of go back to indie films. It's probably more likely what he'll do. But I don't know. Anyway, well, any last words, Vince? I know this is a lot longer than we usually try to make these, but
I'm grumpy. I'm going to be grumpy for a few days. It's going to happen. I'm going to go see Patience tomorrow, and they're going to be like, "What's wrong with you?" I'll be like, "Fantastic Four talked." Say, so? And I'll say, "That's a good point."
Well, and once again, of course, we went in hoping that we would leave it be 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. What are they smoking? And it didn't work out that way.
I will say, all of the reasons that I heard people complaining about the Fantastic Four movie before it started, I didn't have a problem with in the movie. It was the stuff that nobody knew about that was a problem.
Yeah. Well, anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. Sure appreciate it. And if you saw the movie, let us know what you think about it. It'll be interesting to see if some folks liked it a lot more than we did. I hope some folks found some enjoyment out of this. It's rough that, we didn't really. But thanks for watching. We sure appreciate it. And like I said, we're going to try to do a live spoiler cast on Sunday night. And hopefully it will be a little bit less somber than this. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you again in the very, very, very near future. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
Thanks for watching.